Well, good evening, everybody. It's nice to sort of see you in slightly different circumstances. I'll hope that next season, come September this year, we can get back to sort of meeting real people. I don't particularly like judging on Zoom. Sometimes it's a bit sterile, and especially if everybody's being muted, you just may as well talk to the television screen. But thank you for inviting me. I've looked through your images several times. I feel it's the right way to do. I don't go pixel peeping. I look at them in control conditions in a darkened studio on a calibrated 27-inch monitor. So I'm looking at them as near as possible what we're going to see at the club. Obviously, I'm looking a lot more closely at them. What I've spoken with Chris is that we're going to run through the whole lot. I don't know, Chris, when you want to stop for a break.
Usually about 9 o'clock, Vic, something around that time, 8:45.
Okay.
Any time that feels comfortable.
Well, if we stop, if I've got through it all by then, what I'd suggest is that we have a break, comfort break, get a cup of tea, whatever, or another glass of wine, or another plate of strawberries as somebody's eating on the bottom of the screen there with a cat. And then we'll go through the winners. I'm not giving any indication. We're just moving straight on after each image, and Chris is just going to put it into another folder, and at the end of the evening we'll then go through the commended, highly commended in 3, 2, 1. So we'll keep you all in suspense till the very end. I will say there's some very interesting and very sort of creative images, and I did enjoy looking at them. And the one thing about judging really is that is seeing new work. And the trouble is, when you're around the Federation a lot, you tend to see a lot of work that keeps coming up and up again. So it really has been enjoyable to sit and look at 60 completely new images. Now, we know judging's subjective, and there's probably going to be a lot of people a bit grumpy with me tonight because they don't come top, second or third. I did speak to Chris, and what I've done is pulled out 7. There's 15 people going to walk away reasonably happy this evening. So it's 25% of the images that's come in. So I think it's fairly sort of even, is that. So, right, there ain't more to do then. Are you pressing the button, Chris?
No, it's Jeff.
I am.
Jeff, right, Jeff, over to you then.
So we'll run through the images first, yeah?
Yep.
And then give everybody a chance to have a look at them.
Yeah, and me, because I haven't seen them for 2 days.
So, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue screen.
Right. Here we go then with a run through. Right. You ready for this one then, Vic?
Yep, fine, thank you. I'll starting off with quite a pleasing street, very candid photograph of this little charming little girl. She's probably charming now. Give it about 10 years, she'll be a pain in the backside. I've got 2 granddaughters, and you know, we know what they're like. I do quite enjoy the sort of eye contact with this little girl. She's eyeing the photographer with suspicion, which is probably not a bad idea, actually. I love the way the hair's just splayed over the head. It's not being combed, it's not being put right. It's as she is. Unfortunately, the shoulder, and it's very, very difficult. I do appreciate when it's street and struck candid photography, you can't move around. You've got someone in the background in a shirt and jacket, and the shoulder is a little bit obtrusive on her face. And had you moved, you've lost the spontaneity of the picture, and this is what really sort of street photography and candid photography is all about. I love the detail in the eyes, and we've got a sort of very gentle catch light. There's something, putting a bit of light in there. I don't think it's flash. Quite pleasant lighting around the face, and it is an enjoyable picture. The exposure beginning to burn out a little bit on the front part of the forehead there, but it's a totally natural picture of this charming little girl. Thank you. Sundew with Prey. A good piece of macro photography here with excellent depth of field. That flyer's had it now. It's on its way down the digestive system. The coloration, I do enjoy the way it's actually curling up and round. I'm not worried about it being not joined onto left anywhere at all. But certainly the detail on all of this image is good, and we've got the bits of cobweb, and if you're in darkness you do pick them out, several of them around there, and you do feel sorry for the poor fly really, but there it goes. Not quite square format. I might have been inclined to get it down at square, and I don't mind negative space, so I'm you know, reasonably happy with that. And the tonal range, the texture, the fine, the depth of field again has been handled well. So a very muted grey, and I think that actually balances with the tonality and the coloration of the flower itself, the yellow and the red. So after we had a green and mottled green, it just might have jarred a wee bit. So I think the author has put this together well. The insect is sharp, the details on the wings, and I do quite enjoy the curve, comes all the way around, whichever way you're looking at it. Thank you. I think hopefully the author of this can put this into a print, because I think it could be improved from what we've got here as a PDI. I do enjoy this. I'm allowed to get through beyond the fence because some kind urchin has actually decided to demolish it. But then we actually look in the background and on the horizon, we've got the fence yet again. I think that sort of links up. And I almost I can feel the sort of texture of those grasses in the background. I may just taken a tad off the bottom, but I wouldn't really be too fussed about that. It's got a key line which is containing it in a little bit on the broadside. Excuse me, I may have actually been entitled to have a lighter grey. But I enjoy the tones on this right the way through. And when I first looked, I thought, do those stakes at an angle attract the light? They do to a point, but I think it gives a little bit of separation from the darker ones that are standing erect and the ones that have actually been demolished by the local yobs. We can work beyond the marron grasses there and out to the horizon. I do quite enjoy the sort of the softness of the sky. I suspect the authors used a stopper just to slow it down and get that sort of little bit of movement in there. And I think the tonality works quite well for me. Do I want anybody in there? No, I don't. I think it's just a long, the elements and the photographer. That's really all that's needed. Okay, thank you. You're not going to get another point for getting out in the morning early. But I do love this. I love the textures, the tones. I think the depth of this really works for me. I think the author has cropped off the top sufficiently to allow not to allow it to go too bright. We can tell by the texture of the leaves that's fallen, it's damp because you've got those really rich colours. I think there's one thing that actually let this one down for me, and it's that great chunk that's lying horizontal, which is a great shame, because all the rest of them are standing upright and proud, and that one's obviously had its day. It's dead. Was it someone said the other day I saw on a program that a tree can be 300 years old, 100 years growing, 100 years maturing, 100 years dying. But it's such a great shame about that. I might have been inclined as well just to take it a wee bit in from the right hand side. But I do enjoy the tones of it. It's got this sort of mysterious feel about it. How does it get any worse? The weather, does it get any better? But I think I do enjoy what the author's given us. I also please well that we haven't got traditionally a vertical shot. We've propped off that because I fear that the top of this may have actually burnt out as the sun was beginning to burn through the morning mist. Thank you. Sometimes, and of course with Image of the Year, there's no set section, so you're not sure the level of the photographer that's putting an image in. Someone somewhere in the distance got a downpour, got a deluge, a bit like we've been having this last couple of days. I can see what the author was looking at and wanted to create. That was sort of lovely sort of sunset there going down and the rain streaking down. It's very telltale of that. However, even looking in darkness, as I was when I was assessing them, it needs a severe crop off the top. If that was done into a print, it'd be an almighty lot of wasted ink. I've been a Yorkshireman, I do watch expenses, but it needs a severe crop. It doesn't need anywhere near that at the top there. But I think what sadly lets this down is that there's an awful lot of movement. When you look at the detail of the trees and that, they're just out of focus. They're not sharp, which is a great shame. And I do feel the rain is beyond the horizon there, so that's not changing the sharpness of the foreground. It's just not quite sharp. It's a great shame. So thank you. Yeah, much photographed location this, but I think it's a little bit different actually. I do like a bit of creativity here, as we normally get the pier usually from the other side, but I think the author here has found something a little bit different. We've combined the pier at an angle, and we've actually got a groin working again. So everything is being drawn to that light patch in the middle there, above the end of the pier. And I do like the use of a big stopper just to slow it down. Maybe just a tad too much. I may have seen a little bit more sharper, but I think those two bits of rocks or whatever, just creating that extra dimension about this image, just holds it together for me, and I really enjoy it. And I'm not too worried that the groin is in deep shadow on the right, and a lot of the pier is in the dark, because we've got the most of our interest is in the middle of the image. So I think this really is sort of held together quite well. I would have probably liked to have put a key line round. As you said, 1/2 pixel key line, mid-grey. I would have maybe just helped in parts. But again, the sky has added as well. It's a bit of a drama in the sky, but because of the slow shutter speed, you've got that sort of stretching out of the clouds, especially the binocular anyway. So, quite an enjoyable picture. A little bit of a light area down the bottom, very bottom right-hand side, a very small point there. That could have easily been got rid of. Thank you. It's quite strange, actually, the number of images we've seen this last few months, all put down to COVID. And I think this is actually well seen. I'm not sure about the bottle on the shelf. Maybe there is a drink called midlife crisis. I don't know. We'll take it as it is. But I love this sort of very tightly close cropped image. The square really works. You got the guy with his bottle of beer. There doesn't be much beer in that, I don't think. He could do a bit of a shave as well, but I love the sort of just the tight crop of that. And the lady, which looks like Vera Lynn of about 40, 50 years ago, with this sort of bright red lipstick and drinking a drop of red wine. What just slightly gnarls me with this is the earrings. You really should have got this lady to use a color coordination with the lipstick or the wine. As soon as I saw this, my eyes went straight, silly little thing, so tiny, but my eyes went straight to that earring. But I do enjoy this. I'm not worried about the guy's nose being chopped off, his head chopped off, the lady's hand being cut off. It's a seeing eye, and I think the author here has cropped this down to fit the subject, and the square format works well. So a bit of humour and a bit of foresight in composition, and the lighting on that glass, it's actually quite subtle. You can actually see where the top of the glass is going right the way around, and she's really enjoying that drop of red wine. Not a red wine person, really. Rosé, maybe. But yeah, quite enjoy that. Okay, thank you. Now, we spend a lot of our holidays in the Alps, and this is a scene we quite often get. We've usually got snow on the top there. We just had our 2 holidays this year cancelled yet again. I'm determined to get to Zermatt next year. This is often happens when you're high up, is that mist will roll up the valley and it suddenly obscure the far side. It looks like it's being taken from a pass there. So we've got what's like a road down below, and there's railings just breaking on the left-hand side there. Because we see this quite often, I can see what the author's done. 5 minutes before, that mist probably wasn't there. It comes and it goes. So it's a little bit underexposed, really. The sky's quite fine, but I think the rock face has just taken a bit of a hammering and exposure, which is a great shame. So, good idea, but it would have been a lot better had you had snow-capped mountains in the background there. But you've got to be about 3,000 meters to get that evening summer. Thank you. The Cornish coast, almost monochrome. And I took a second look at this. Thought, is this monochrome? And I think actually it might have worked, changing to monochrome. But then the seaweed on the tops of the rocks there just sort of gives it away. It's one of these images where I feel there's an awful lot to look at, and you think, well, do I need 3 levels of rock feature? And I'm not sure we do really. But where do you crop it? And it's really, there's no way to crop this image at all. So it's probably in the taking stage. The author, again, was using a big stopper to slow the water down, and it's probably being slowed down quite a lot more than what I'd have liked, actually, and again, combined with mist. I think going straight into mono might have just licked it a little bit more, and maybe a different viewpoint also would have helped. So simplify. I find it's a cluttered image. We're looking from part to part to part. Thank you. Well, somebody loves that little dog. Strange little thing out there. But another subject which is getting quite popular now is these workshops where people can go along and you know, have a dog set up for them. I call it sort of pay as you go, but they can get some, you know, brilliant images. I'm not sure I like the treatment to this. I'd have really sort of liked to see maybe it's a high key background, but just vignetted a little bit on the corners. I mean, you really have got perfect concentration on the eyes of this dog. The photographer has really got complete control. I mean, it's not a good looking thing, is it, really? But, you know, it can't help it. But the position, I mean, to get a dog to sit there quite happily, I think it works. And looking straight at the camera, and the depth of field on it, the sharpness on the fur and that, almost feel I can sort of touch it. And I do quite as well like it's going to make a bolt, because that right-hand paw there looks like it's ready to take off. It's probably just seen that cat in the bottom of my screen there, a little black and white cat there keeps moving around. Yeah, I think just the finished treatment of that, and the brush strokes, I'm not sure I'm really happy about that. But, you know, a pleasant image. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Ironically, I was judging a competition last week. No, it wasn't. I was assessing some of his images for the PABG Awards, and this image come up. And actually, I prefer this one actually a little bit better. So I quite like the high key, almost pencil drawing effect of this. I think it really works well. The reflections in the water are somewhat lighter than the previous one I've shown. It's strange how identical shot comes up. I do quite like as well the way the author has just let this bleed into the border as well. It was quite a clever way. There's a couple more of them coming up. So I do quite enjoy this. You've not much else you can do with this. You've got this building, I think the pumping station. It's got to be there, and unless you've got you can go paddling, there's not any other way you're going to get this. So, you know, a pleasing image. I like the sky. I think that's sort of very gentle. It's nothing other than it's a very high key picture. I say it's almost like sort of a pencil drawing. Thank you. I wonder what this little girl was licking actually. I mean, she's got this tongue out there licking her lips. She's probably had an ice cream in her hand, and the rotten old granny or granddad's taken it away from her to get a picture. She's really sort of inside there of this wheel of probably looks like an SUV stuck in the background. Just a pity that she's really been chopped off right on the very edge. And that's a rather unusual, well, it's the medieval events have been at there, the sort of dress she's wearing. But once again, like the little girl in the first image, there's a wonderful eye contact there. I do quite enjoy the sort of tone of the skin. The lighting is quite soft, it's quite gentle, and it's actually quite pleasing with this little girl. And the added bit is that she's sticking her tongue out. Well, not sticking her tongue out, she's licking the last bit of ice cream, but lovely eye contact there. It's just a little bit burnt out in the background there, but I think I'd have probably liked a bit more saturation in the Wellingtons, because it's actually called Yellow Boots. But it's very, very tightly cropped. And it may be that there's something on the right-hand side there that the author didn't want the judge to complain about, because the judge would have said that should have been cropped off. But, you know, could the camera have been turned a little bit more to the right? Thank you. Quite creative, this. And when you look closely at this, there's all those different pictures in this. And I've actually seen one of these before, actually. Some good friends of ours had a big print done. I think it's about 24 by 20 of them to a portrait, but it was made up of images like this, and it's time consuming. When it was printed up big, it looked terrific. And I do quite like this. It's a little bit different. It's very much 2020, isn't it? You know, what we've been through in the past sort of 15 months. I think we're getting images constantly of this sort of genre, and rightly so. We mustn't forget these people. It looks very much like a nursing uniform, because the red tunic there, the scrubs underneath, and the NHS mask. He's obviously not in deep COVID because he's got his specs on, but he hasn't got a big mask on and everything else. But once again, the eyes are drawing you into this image. And yes, they are tight in the corner. Yes, the author's cropped off the head and the chin. Does it matter? No, not at all. So it's an enjoyable image, and the key line around it, you picked up the colour from in the mask. That's fine. But it's an enjoyable image, a creative one, and being very well and cleverly put together. Thank you. Yeah, we again, when it was 2012 and 2013, 2014, we got load and load of these images from the waterway down by you guys in Harlow there. And I think my wife, who was a sports mad person, she actually named these two guys, but I didn't write it down. But I do like the concentration here, the sort of strength of that lead guy there with his paddle dug in, pulling that canoe round that pole there. He probably hit it with his arm, but it doesn't really matter. But you've got eye contact, not eye contact, but you can see the eyes on these. You see the sort of the strength of them pulling themselves round, and the guy in the back there, the action, it is full of action, and it's got the drama. And I think the author here has got the exposure right, because there's very little of that white water burnt out. So good positioning. You can, there's another one in later on this, and there's a couple of images in tonight which are sort of duplicated, and that's probably a bit wary of doing that. But I think this year is probably a little bit different. But I certainly love the drama of this. Certainly the canoe's pin sharp. You can read the signs on it. You can even read the text on the paddles there. So it's got a lot of drama, exposure. We've not lost any detail. Certainly on the two tunics they've got. The rear guy has lost a little bit on the top, but there's no writing there. So I think we've got away with that. Thank you. An old moo. Lovely feel of the grasses there. And I do like the square format. Spending a lot of time working professionally with square format. I think this works fine. I think the author has been lucky to capture this. And this is a farmer. I just felt that the cow itself is just a little bit high in the frame. I'd liked a little bit more room, then it wouldn't have been a square format. So I think that works. Good detail on the corn that's going around there. And there's been a bit of gentle vignetting here, just sort of to hold those corns down, especially on the bottom, less so on the top. But lovely detail on the cow. You can see the beautifully exposed there, and there's some droplets of water on its nose. But yeah, well seen and well captured. Thank you. Now with tabletop, and again, it's probably a genre that's been practiced probably this past 15 months. It's totally under your control. I do love the saturated colours of this, but this is screaming for a key line round to hold it in, really. And even with the lights out, when I looked at it, I was struggling to find the edge of the light area of the image. I do enjoy the tones on the top of that glass standing up there. But you've gone for a reflection, but sadly you've lost the bottom. Now an image like this is totally under your control. You know, you're not sort of fighting an animal coming towards you. This is under your control, and you really should have seen this. I do enjoy the strong colours. Certainly the focus and the sharpness on those two glass objects are great, and we've got the pearl sitting on there. That's got to catch light. I'm not worried about that. But what spoils it for me is you've got the top of the vase in reality, but you've lost it in the reflection. It's a great, great shame. You've got to be careful when you're doing this sort of subject. You need reflectors in to light up little corners, but please just put a key line around this. It's just a great shame. Thank you. Danger. Well, I looked at danger, then I saw the sign. Yeah, it's rather sort of quite strongish lighting, I mean, I just sometimes wonder all these people having tattoos now, are they going to suffer in 20 years' time when they're all flabby and the tattoos have gone all saggy as well? It's quite a strong light on this girl, especially on her chest there. I mean, that top she's wearing don't exactly fit very well, does it really? The lighting on the face and the arm is fine. We have lost it, sadly, on the under of her right arm. We've lost the lighting there. And again, we can't see where the edge of the live area of the image finishes. But certainly on the chest there, it's very overexposed, overflash. That's a great shame, because you come back to skin tones and the neck and her left arm, and it's a lot more more natural. And we've lost detail in the slip she's wearing. It's a shame. It is a great pity. Again, it's a thought out picture. I like the way the hand's leaning on that wood there, and the word danger. You see that, and you come back and sort of fills in and tells the story. I would have probably liked to see the eyes open, even if she wasn't looking at the photographer. I think it's just not quite there. It's a bit of work in progress. The lighting has let this one down. Thank you. Yeah, Derwent Ferry, very traditional sort of Lake District picture here. I just love them where the mist is drifting just above those treetops there. And this would really make a superb card for Windermere. There's plenty of room to put the text on the top right and across the bottom. It would probably even do nicely as a wraparound of a cover for a book. Well exposed. Looks like it's probably early autumn shot. Looking at the trees on the bank there. Cropped down sufficiently. We've retained those reflections in the water, and the boat is well exposed, and it's actually moving quite a bit, looking at the wake and what it's leaving in the background. So it's been well captured. It's not one of the winners tonight, but it has been well captured. It's well exposed, and I'd certainly take a little bit further. Thank you. Wingman. There's a couple like this evening. I do quite like the way the authors managed to capture these two swans in unison. Really, they are actually. I mean, Wingman's a perfect title for it. I mean, the wings are not quite identical, but they are very pretty close there, and the way they are sort of coming in together. Sadly, the exposure lets this one down badly. We should have more detail in those flight feathers on the wings there, and a little bit more light on the body. So the whole thing is actually lacking really in exposure. It's a great shame, because I'm sure there's probably a bit of a reflection in the water there, but the whole thing is just probably a good stop underexposed, which is a great shame. Thank you. Fighting kites, yes, it's great when you can get a bit of action, aerial action from birds like this. Square format works. It's not quite square, but almost square. Sadly, with this one, you've got to look at it carefully and find out where the heads are. It's not immediately apparent. I mean, if you were judging this exhibition, it would get a very low mark, because you've been looking for where bits and pieces are. So a good bit of aerial action shot there of a pair of kites having a scrap. There's probably food down below, and one wants to chase the other one away. Again, the sky is fine, but we've actually lost detail and clarity in the wings and the flight feathers, especially the tail feather on the lower bird there. But almost feels if the top bird's had just taken a punch of 6 there and is reeling backwards. Great shame, but we'll try. Thank you. I'm not often one for having matching key lines around this, but I think this actually does work. We've got the trio, we've got the things in threes. I think that works. I do quite enjoy the way that the petals. I'm not very much into flowers. I know tulips are not tulips, but I do like the bottom one is still waiting to explode and open to the world. And the other two are a slight different pose. I do enjoy the way the leaves come over the top there. The sort of control of lighting and depth of field. I love the way it's been treated into the background. This actually, I feel, if the author wanted to, as I would call it, a canvas wrap. So it's like a big picture 20-inch square picture, but without a frame. You know, some of the studios will do it, and I think it's really enjoy it. You will get away with get rid of your line, and you've got room to do it. I think the exposure, both on the stamen and the petals, has been well caught. It's been well handled. Thank you. Again, a built-in key line, but I'm not sure what's happened here. I think the treatment this has had, in my opinion, has really spoiled it, because we've got all these sort of speckles in the light area at the top right-hand side there. The position of the flower and the butterfly is great, and the butterfly is just about sharp there, and one or two of the stamens, but you've got this treatment which is actually covering the whole thing, and it's just a great shame. To me, it degrades it. I do like the depth of field, because it really goes well out, certainly in the background on the left-hand side, all the way down the left-hand side, and there's something light in the top. So that works well, but I think the treatment it has had actually, in my opinion, lets it down. I do quite like the square format. That sort of works. I do use square quite a lot myself. Thank you. Yeah, Coast Guard College, it's a title there, but I sort of enjoy the sweep around the bay, leading us round on the shingle bay there. But sadly, I think the whole thing is this picture is actually those cottages, and I just wonder whether the author could have actually just climbed up the bank a wee bit and got all the cottages in, and lost that big sweep of water, because the water is actually gives the appearance of being exposed correctly, whereas the shingle going round, it becomes a little bit underexposed. I do quite like the sky where it's sort of build up, bit like skies we've been having recently. But I do feel we've lost the base of those cottages, and I think a higher viewpoint would have helped this. And you could have gone down to a really, really sort of tight panoramic shot. And that again would have actually improved it. Thank you. Another south wall pier, which is quite different actually. It could be really anywhere. It could be any pier. Not quite a slower movement on the water here, but I do quite like where we're led all the way down through to the end, and then the horizon runs through both ways. The moon, I suspect, is being put in. I'm not sure I like it that big, and they've also got a huge reflection on the water of it as well. So it's a clever little bit of work, and the author has actually added it by throwing in the shadows on the pier on the right-hand side there. A little bit underexposed, going all the way through there. So it just lets it down on that. And there is actually some light on the end of the pier. So there is light there, but I don't think it's light coming from the moon. So a clever bit of post-production. Thank you. Very simple image, cropped perfectly. We've just got, it's minimalistic, but it works. Fortune, the chap, he looks like he's walking a bit sort of static, but I like just the touch of reflection in that little bit of water that is on the edge of. The horizon is in a good strong position, only about a third of the way up. Again, a soft filter. It's so simple. It's in a strong position. Don't often use it. Thirds, but it is on the third. And what I do enjoy about this one as well, and this would make I think a lovely print, maybe not a canvas print, but a one to go in a frame. I do like where the author has taken the opacity back on that border at the side, on all the way around. That just adds that little bit of extra thought on that. Thank you. Oh yes, doesn't she look a bully? When it's been set up, I don't know, but that one on the right looks a right little, can be a little toe rag. And the one on the left is really suffering, whether she's putting it on or not, but it's just kids, isn't it? And I like the monochrome feel. It gives it that strength again. There's a little bit of movement there. It's not 100% sharp throughout, but it's got negative space on the left, because I think that little girl in the spotted jumper, if she could, she'd be off. Very natural, the way they're standing, the way they're moving. I do feel sorry for that little girl on the left, that big bully. Thank you. I was trying to think of the name of the guy up in Ipswich who did a lot of this sort of post-production. His name will come to me.
I'm Beanie.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Brian Beanie. Yeah, very much a Brian Beanie shot, this. I think it was actually misnamed, though. So it's actually titled Old Boatyard. Now, I'd expect to see more boats there. Again, this is at some post-production treatment, which is not 100% happy about it in the sky, but it's got it in the base as well. I do enjoy, it's one of these pictures where it's a photographer shot, isn't it? It's, you know, anything old and decrepit, we're going to photograph it. I'm not 100% happy about that sprig of greenery coming out of the bow of the right-hand box. It's quite bright. It draws my eye into that. I do quite enjoy the rest of it. Do I want it all on the left there? I think this sort of could have gone back to a square because there's nothing in there. If there'd been another bolt there to balance it, that would have probably helped. Thank you. Yeah, another one of these pictures where we want to take it and we do take it, but sadly there's only a very, very, very minute bit of this actually sharp in the middle of that stamen there, the white bit, and then part of it is overexposed. Focus stacking could have been used here and just build it up. You may not want all of it 100% sharp, but I think all those stamen coming out there should have been sharp. I do quite enjoy the authors fill the frame. It really brought us in. However, we've got a little bit of light flare coming in the bottom side there, which is just a great shame. Again, it draws your eye into what it shouldn't be doing. I think whether it's a new person to photography, I don't know. It could well be. Certainly, part of that middle stamen is sharp. The right-hand side just got a little bit overexposed. Thank you. Yeah, homeward bound. You sometimes look at these pictures, and titles are so important in photography because sometimes it gets you out of a mess, and any judge will tell you that. But then we got the storytelling, and we got the two people there walking, and we got the car heading up the road. Then somebody else further up the road. This reminds me of an old, and I think some of the older members of the audience here have been doing photography from the film days. Remember All War 1000 with grain like golf balls, and that's where you look at that sky. It's very grainy, sorry, noisy now, modern term. The moon is actually distorted as well. Whether it's a sort of a composite, I don't know. It's very, very grainy, but I don't think it really sort of comes off for me. Thank you. Yeah, simple title, The Tower. We are drawn into the tower. A wee bit overexposed on the left-hand side there. Could have done with a bit of post-production work. I quite enjoy the sort of sky there, but it's a bit of infrared polarization there to separate the blue from the white. Sadly, with boat yards, it's inevitable. It's a boat, marina, and there's just loads of masts there. It's just a great shame. Which the right-hand side is just full of masts and very, very jumbled up. Good monochrome image, but that's where it is. Thank you. Yeah, tree on the moor. Again, good tonal range in this monochrome image. I do like just that little bit of light through that skeleton of the tree there. I would have actually taken down the top right-hand corner. It's a little bit light. Always be wary of that. Using the key line round. Again, just holds it in. Not a huge print image, but again, I do like and enjoy the sort of grasses being lit. I would actually have toned down those sheep. My eyes are drawn straight to the highlights there. We got 7 of them dotted around. Some you could have got rid of them completely, but certainly there's one almost to the left of that tree there. Really stands out and very, very, very bright. And a couple that rise there. So a little bit of post-production work there. Take those down. That would have helped. Thank you. Lunch for the spider. The wife came in my office yesterday afternoon and said there's a white, tiny white spider that trapped a bee and was devouring it. I couldn't bother getting the camera out. It was so tiny, it needed ultra macro. But I think this is a good bit of macro work. The detail on that spider is something. It's a good position. It's got air around it. Just a little bit light on that left-hand side, which is just sort of a little bit on the bright side for me. And it's a bit of a highlight on the actual bee as well. But it's been well caught. It's been wrapped up, and that's lunch for the next day or two for this spider. Good depth of field, good use of background. The background is sympathetic with the subject, so it works well for me. Thank you. Kobe Jar. I know you should be in there actually, Kobe. You weren't supposed to go into pubs, were you? But yeah, I mean, it's a lovely sort of character shot of this gentleman. I mean, he's looks like a half pint or a Jill, as we used to know it up north. The lighting, the sort of top lighting of those lights there, immediately you think the toilet. Well, he probably needs it at his age pretty quickly. I did find actually that bottom sign very bright there. It's sort of, my eyes are drawn to that, and I think this has been held back in post-production stage. And I do love the old radiator in the background there. That takes me back to my school days, and that is a few years ago. I like the detail on the old chap there, and I'd like to probably honed in more on him and just captured him and got a bit closer to him. I do find that left hand is knuckles, so he's going to give the photographer a belt. He's up and clenched, and the end of his knuckles there are white. Good tonal range all the way through. Thank you. Out of the dark. Very pleasing portrait of this very young, quite attractive young lady. I don't know why they put rings through their noses. I did that to cows. But the face has been lit extremely well. But the downside is the photographer really hasn't controlled the lighting properly on the hair. I'd like to see more detail and separation of the hair to the background. I did portrait show and weddings for a long, long time. And you know, if I got a girl like this against a dark background, I'd just have a bit of a hair light, just separating it out. Flash has been used because I've got the very fine pinprick of light in there. Not too happy about the shadows, actually, especially the one underneath the bottom lip there. It's almost very sharp. Use one big brolly, big softbox, then use reflectors. And I would like to see a little bit more thought in taking of this. She is a very attractive young lady, but she's hovering, she's floating. I'd like to be some bit of connectivity, you know, a bit of light, just showing, just giving a hint of garment there. And at least you put the girl in a dark color, but just light it a little bit better. Thank you. Yeah, kestrel with its breakfast for its chicks. Very quite bright it is actually. I mean, kestrels do have quite bright talons, and these are very, very bright. I do find the exposure on this has let us down a little bit, really. So it is actually very, very bright. I think compared with the background, which actually is quite diffuse, so whether it's a sort of a regular perching post that photographers use in this location, I'm not worried. I mean, you get this a lot. But it's managed to capture something. I do like that sort of beady eye watching the photographer with a mouthful of food. I do quite enjoy the detail on the flight feathers on the wings there and on the tail spread out. And you can just about sort of see a lot of the underside detail. So it is actually working. But I just think the balance of light on the background is just a little bit out of kilter. I also find that the grass and the lichen on top of the post a little bit on the bright side as well. Thank you. I just wish we could have seen the little girl's face there. Yeah, she's got so many choices of ice cream to choose from. It's a very difficult, challenging thing for a little tot. Quite strong light coming from to the left of the photographer there. Look at this very sharp shadows on there. Yet her shoes are sharp, but her head is not. I don't think she's moving that much, but I really would have just liked to have seen a little bit more of the little girl's face. And you've also as well lost part of the feet, which is a great shame, really. But then again, as with the girl in the very first image, they move and you sometimes can't move quick enough for them. Thank you. Wonderful capture of this young fox. And where I live, we've got quite a lot of foxes. We hear them quite frequently at night. Certainly lovely detail. The photographer's at a quite good low viewpoint. The eyes are not bitingly sharp, but certainly the top of the eyes and the ears are. And it's been captured well. I'm not sure if I like great big apples. They look a bit out of context in size there. I know the fox is probably quite young. I do quite enjoy the detail on its chest and down its side there. Maybe it could have gone for a vertical shot. I think the apples there, they do distract me, especially three that are prominent, which is a great shame. But, you know, well done on capturing the fox in that position, because when they're young, they sometimes sit and watch you and then one move and they've gone. Thank you. Yes, I think of the 21st century, sitting in a redundant shop doorway there. I think it's very hard, is that? I mean, she's obviously begging with her hat there on the ground. And question why she's got her shoes off, because she thinks she wants to keep warm. But I do quite like the monochrome treatment of this. It only had to be monochrome. But I would have just liked to have got lower down. Whether she knew the photographer was there, I mean, I think you've certainly captured it. I may have been inclined to move around to the right a bit so you can get more inside the doorway and maybe see some of her belongings there, but she may have moved. Exposure-wise, that's fine, because the detail on her hair, on the face, on the garment she's wearing, and the blanket she's got round her. I think it's very sad, actually, that people have got to be in this sort of situation. Thank you. I actually wonder where this was, actually. Again, it's quite noisy and grainy in the sky on this. And I did quite enjoy the sort of those old posts and pillars gradually rotting away. But unfortunately, you've got to get yourself over that JCB, Joe Cornish boulder, which stops me from getting into the picture. I do, when I look further in, I do enjoy the sort of lighting on that very shallow water on the sands there. And it's actually just giving that wonderful reflections of the water. And then we've got the actual, the tide coming in there. It does contain you, and, you know, well done, the author, because he's actually got virtually none of those posts are clashing. So you've got a good position, you know, well seen that. A lot of people would have missed that. Quite strong lighting looking at the shadows there. Thank you. Makes me sort of very angry when I see the emergency services being treated like this. My son's a police officer, and you know, things that either way they get treated. I think it's very sad, actually. There's someone trying to be recovered there that's injured, and the morons are lobbing their bottles. A bit of fuller journalistic capture here, and I think it has been well captured. Yes, the guys are all protected up. You can't see their faces. Doesn't really matter. The title gives us it, gives us the story. Probably outside a football ground somewhere. Looks like it's in Kent by the looks of it. Kent Support Services. No police there. It's just all ambulance crew by the looks of it. But you know, they're having to risk their lives for this to pull this injured person out, and it's telling me a story of, you know, you begin to think what's happening there. I would have been inclined to take that green car out, not green car, the car in the background now, and just mute it down. But you've got to have a vertical shot for this to give it the story of all these bottles of water being thrown at the services. But okay, thank you. I actually wondering this, whether it would actually work as a monochrome, but I decided, I thought, no, leave it as it is. Again, I think it's a treatment to the sky. It radiates out from that chapel. It must be a very dark chapel. There's no windows in, unless they're all on the other side. It's in a good, strong position. It's all on its own. There's nothing else in the area around it. So the exposure is working well. We've got detail on the old bricks itself, and it's quite enjoyable. I think the sky works. I did actually look at when it would work in monochrome, but I tried it. It works better in colour. Thank you. Yeah, when we get sort of two of the same system of genre, you begin to look. And I sort of, again, I looked at this one very carefully. Exposure is working well. We've got the poles hanging down into the water there. And once again, we got the single canoe, but we got the single canoeist this time. And again, he's digging in on that right-hand side to him. But you're not worried about the expression. Sadly, the shadows on his eyes are just really sort of, you know, they're in blackness. You could have probably recovered on that, but I do like the expression on his face there. And he's coming towards us, and he's strong. And it's almost a square, so it's quite powerful. Thank you. Split image this. We've also got like the going to the pool. Just got the sort of two bars there to help yourself out there. I'm not sure it's actually the title of it, Sea Pool. It's a bit of a split image there. I'm a little bit uncomfortable. We've got an awful lot of virtually nothing at the base there. And I just wonder whether I did actually try cropping this down to almost well over a third of the way up. And it did help, but I couldn't judge it on that. There's some dust bunnies on this on the right hand side there, and I suspect it's a slow shutter speed. Maybe it was quite windy. Looking at the spray around that bit of an island out there. Thank you. Yes, it's again street photography, 21st century. You know, should people live like this? But he's doing pretty well for himself as for drinks. All those bottles all lined up, and I like the sort of bit of paper in that vent on the right hand side. And you let your eyes acclimatise to this image, and then you've just got that one, his left eye completely staring at you, questioning you why you're doing it. He's well wrapped up against the elements. We don't know what time of year it is. It's not raining, but he's actually well wrapped up in the tarpaulin, that big parka there. And it's just that one eye, and it really is impact on you. Shouldn't be like that. Thank you. Well, we always get it, don't we? People walking around the streets with their mobile phones, not watching where they're going. They've probably just sort of had the results of a football match, you know, and Manchester United have lost. It's quite a dark image, low lighting, quite a strong shadow coming across from the left-hand side of that girl. But what brings my attention is that handbag or bag she's carrying with a bright orange stripe on. I can't get past that, and I just wonder whether the photographer could have actually got a horizontal shot close in on those faces, because that's where the interaction is here, especially the girl on the left there. She's poking around with her phone, and the others are telling a story. I do find a little bit obstructive as well, that blue window light in the top there. I think that could probably be toned down. I'm not too worried about the white light on the left hand side, but it's actually lighting up the pavement, which is helping because it's wet and it has actually thrown a bit of reflection back. Thank you. Yeah, bowl, you know, very clean bowl there. It's bail's gone, the stumps have certainly the middle one's gone, and the ball's there as well. I don't know quite the old guy at the back in there is going to catch it, because he didn't need to catch it. The guy's gone. A little bit bright actually. Again, the exposure is just a little bit over, especially on the guy on the left. The wicket keeper is pretty well exposed there. He has actually got his eye on the ball. He's watching it there. We don't have to worry about it. And we've just got a little bit of dust being kicked up there where the ball has hit the stump on the base there. And I do like the position of the batsman actually. It's quite natural. He's taken a swing, but it's gone. Background's a little bit sort of sharp. Again, it's difficult to do when you're taking pictures like this in village greens. It would have been better if it had been a wee bit lighter and probably a bit softer as well. Thank you. Yeah, we've got pair of little sheep actually here again. And I got rid of them actually because I enjoy it much better tracing that wall down almost to the one that goes diagonally, and especially the old virtually dead tree on the right hand side. Detail on the tree and into the background. I love the lighting on the undulating background. I would have probably taken the top right hand corner down a bit, so just a bit on the bright side. Take it down a wee bit. Thank you. Another very minimalistic image. Very simple. I did actually blow this one right up to see if there was actually any information in that bubble, but there's not, sadly. I think looking at it, I do enjoy minimalistic shots, and I think actually I'd have preferred actually to flick the leaf and get rid of the bubble because I think the bubble is slightly distracting, which is a great pity. I do like just being getting rid of the bubble. I think would have actually made it a better shot because it's soft, it's delicate. Your greens of the leaves are going all in the same way, and you've got that magenta cast in the background in the top left hand side. So there's obviously some colour well out of the way there. And there's very little of this sharp, it's just that bubble, and that's not 100% sharp. Thank you. Yeah, morning mist. It's lovely when you can get out that time in the morning and capture the mist and that, and this guy's actually blowing all the leaves off the grass back onto there. And you got the I think it's a weeping willow tree there. It's really sort of glorious colour. And it just gives it that hint of probably early autumn with that sort of mist and mellow, whatever it is. And the guy going around, his blue jacket's a little bit quite strong, but he's in a good strong position. He's got plenty of room to come through the picture. And green's a little bit on the bright side, but that's sometimes we can't help that. Okay, thank you. Shutter speed on this, I think, is just about right. We haven't quite got cotton wool water, but we have got a little bit of detail. And the tonality on those rocks there, they are wet. They're giving that sheen to them. I did actually, again, try cropping this because I find that top left-hand corner a little bit dark. I think you could have possibly pulled a little bit of detail back in there, but toned down that greenery hanging in there. Also, there's a couple of bands of light breaking out right on the left-hand side there. I've been inclined to take those down to the colour of the rest of the rock. I did actually want to crop this off, but then where do you stop? You'd have been coming near to that very water on the left-hand side. I think it would have made it a bit too tight. Maybe a vertical shot. I don't know what was above there. The photographer does. Thank you. I think it's very similar, combined by the same author actually of the geese earlier on. To capture them like this is quite something. Egyptian geese, I'm sure, but it's male, female. But again, we've got a problem here that the background's muted and diffused, but it's a little bit on the dark side. The birds themselves actually are also a little bit on the flat side. So I think, you know, maybe a bit of post-production to pull it up a little bit. The underneath those wings have lost the detail, which is a great shame. Thank you. CNI, it's so simple, isn't it? I said I like minimalistic shots, and this is so simple. Just to see it and capture it, it works. And again, it's a similar border to one earlier on. I think that's quite effective. High key, it works, and the square format works once again. Thank you. Another shot of something like mountains we spend in time when we're up in the mountains there. You get this mist wandering through. I do quite enjoy the way this mist is wandering around the trees and the undulating hillside there. And it's obviously not too high because trees have a limit to where they have a tree line on mountains. So probably below 2,000 feet, 2,000 meters. But there's nothing for my eye to go on. I'm just wandering around, and I I really want something to sort of pull out and say that's what they want me to look at. And it's a great shame. It's a little bit like the Cornwall one earlier on, very similar sort of vein, which is a great shame. Thank you. Yes, this another Brian Beanie style image here, but I think this works just a little bit better actually. Again, the background's been worked on, some effect has been done. But I think the old boat there, just leaning over on its side, it works. It's in a strong position. It's got a lot of negative space, but I think that actually sort of works for me. And I like this sort of old masterly tone about it. It sort of tones in with the boat. There's just a little bit of reflection on the side of the boat there in the water. Good strong angle. People might say, well, I'd like to see it much bigger in the frame. Okay, maybe, but I'm looking at what I've got now, and you know, I enjoy it. Thank you. Kind of a bit of composite work here. I thought I looked at it first, thought I like the old station master there. You know, they get dressed up at the weekend in their gear and they go out doing it. And then we've got a lovely old steam train. I love them, quite frankly. But then we've got the sort of picture in the background of the driving rods and the big wheels there, the six wheels there, driving wheels. And yes, it's been put together quite cleverly because it's not spreading out into the old guy. So maybe the old chap was putting on top of that. But I'd like to have seen a little bit more of the 31608. Sorry, 31806. That to me, that's what's more important. Yes, she's a little bit black in the firebox at the front. You've got the steam rising from the cylinders, both left and right, but I'd like to see a bit more of that down the side of the engine. Well exposed and well put together. Thank you. Another one where focus stacking would have helped here because there's virtually nothing sharp, and sometimes simplicity works where nothing is sharp at all and defeats all the rules. But this really, I think you need to see a little bit more of the glory of the flower. I think nature is wonderful, but I think that sort of thick stamen, which is well out of focus, should have been the point here, or the one sticking out the top there, but neither. So focus stacking would have helped this. Thank you. Yeah, the eyes on the bottom, and this one here is a different match with different guys. Pretty close in here. I just hope there's distance between the batsman and the wicketkeeper. Otherwise, the wicketkeeper is going to need that to helmet on because it's quite close. But the eye really is on the ball there. That bat's going to come round. I suspect actually that he probably missed it because the speed of him, that ball going and getting that bat round, and he could have actually fallen victim as well to a bowler. But the exposure on this is actually better, certainly on both of the guys, and the background depth of field is a little bit, so it's probably a different location. I would have actually, however, taken the white strip down on the very edge there. I do find it a little bit distracting, but obviously a long lane shot, you're laying down somewhere opposite side of the field, so it's well caught, well exposed, and you have got the action on that wicketkeeper space. Thank you. Yeah, sort of one of these pictures where, you know, sort of people get dressed up in all the stuff, actually, the old-fashioned stuff. It's got a lovely bit of contrast to this image. I do find one or two bits a little bit light in the top, that down pipe, the drain pipe there. And when I look closely at it, it reminds me actually of how Heather Clark used to look about 45 years ago. She very similar, actually. I can imagine that outfit. I like the steps. I'm led up the steps. I want to go up there and round the corner and find out where it goes. I love the grime and of this sort of yard, this old backyard here, and the old mangle. And I've got a friend actually called Roy Essery who actually set us one of these shots up, and he can't remember the title of it now, but he got some kippers and set them up coming out of the rollers there. And I can't think of the humorous title. But it's well exposed. It's good, strong, and I think this will make a lovely print as well. Thank you. Yeah, a good pictorial shot here. We've got good recession there and a good tonality on the cornfield. And I do actually quite like the reflection in the water there, quite strong. Doesn't quite match the sky though, because the sky's got that sort of a bit of a strange colour that not much you can do about it. You can't crop this. So it's another image which has been captured. I think it would have helped us something in there to give us a focal point. Our eyes are wandering around. Thank you. The last one, surfs up. I think tees up as well, probably with a bit of luck. This young lady going out on a surfboard, debating whether to go. She looks dressed for the part, but she didn't seem to be too sure whether she wants to go or not. She's got a bit of a rough area to get over first. Sadly, we've lost her feet. She's a bit absolutely bang in the middle of the image. Actually, the board is actually going at a diagonal, but I do find that the skin tones on this are a little bit on the dark side, and we've lost a lot of detail in her wetsuit at the bottom. So
you want to go through the commended, Vic?
Right. If we do the commendeds from the top of the list I sent you,
yeah,
Jeff, that would be brilliant. Now, before we start, actually, many images actually just missed out, and I could have probably given another 7, 8, 9, but I think it becomes a little bit ridiculous when you do that many. This is image of the year, and it's what, in my opinion, whether you all agree or not, one person will agree. Many more won't. But you've got to be nitpicking. And some that didn't quite make it, I'm sorry about that, photographer. But you know, I've been given 60 images, and I've got to pick out the best few. So there was some good images. I did enjoy looking at them. So, you know, thank you for giving me that privilege. Okay, we'll start with the first commended. We're going to do the commendeds first, run down the list, then go back up and do the highly commended, and then we'll keep you really in suspense for 3, 2, 1.
These are appear in the yeah. I'll do the commendeds first, and these appear in the order they were shown.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So the first one should be Sundew with Prey.
Yeah.
Great. Do we know the? Are we going to announce the order?
Actually, I can then do that.
No. Well done, Heather.
Oh, Heather.
Well done.
Was that Heather's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, delete that one then.
Oh,
It's for this reason that we send the images anonymized to the judge.
Thank
Right.
you.
Right. The next, yeah, Kingston Night and Fog. Number 4, yeah.
Young Chris Shepherd.
Thanks.
Move the big
Well
lock
done, Chris.
next time.
Yeah, small explosive charge next time.
And the next one is Southwell Mono.
Yeah, which is Paul Simpkin.
Well done, Paul.
Well done,
Well done, Paul. Especially as Judge was it last week or the week before? The judge slated that, didn't he?
Certainly
Well
did.
done.
Well, that's judges for you know.
Yeah, what do they do?
Never
What a
believe. Right, number 11, Rufflin Water.
Yeah, that was Mary Keane. Rather.
Very, very pastel images. That's I did like the sort of feel of it. It's very light, high key, and I think the border around the edge actually helped. I may suggest actually make it a border like one or two of the other ones where it's a bit wider, and then take the opacity down. Okay, the next one is Isolation.
In by Marie.
Also by Marie.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Marie.
Thank you.
It's lovely, that.
And then the next one should be The Old Wreck.
Your sheet on that. Yeah, the old rate.
Look, 3 in a row.
Sorry, who was this one?
Marie Keane.
Marie King.
Oh,
Okay.
lovely.
Yeah, I did like this. It's just got that sort of old masterly feel about it. Whereas the other one at the boatyard, I think, didn't have the same feel to me. I think this has got more appeal. It was simple. I'm not sure what the application they've used to do it, but I think it worked on this, whereas the one with the butterfly didn't. So, you know, well done. And the last one, 59, 58.
Yeah, 58 by Gordon.
Go. That probably was Heather then about 55 years ago.
Yep.
Right, well done to those. There's 7 of those, and now there's 5 highly commended. So if we
Right.
start with number 3, Jeff, please.
She's broken fence.
I think
By
that
Morris.
would look as that would look good as a print. I do love the feel of that and the tones. I think the right paper that was printed on that would look really good. So well done on that one. Next one is Midlife Crisis, and this actually might have gone up a little bit. If that earring annoys me, it's such a small, tiny part of the frame, but I just love the tonal, the tones of the guy's face, the little beard, the bottle at the lip, the lady taking a very sort of ladylike swig of her Merlot, very tightly cropped, and the focus on that. I suspect there's been a bit of Photoshop because that bottle is pin sharp, but I did like it. I just like the different colour of the earring. Sorry about that. Colour coordination, lady. Right. Who's that one by?
That was Paul Major. And this one's by Graham Warmer.
I thought I did actually wonder, because I think when he did his credit, he actually had a lot of sports stuff in. I don't know why he's not gone for his D actually with the work he's producing. Right, well done on that one. Right, number 21. Joe. Oh, thank you for everything you sent me, Joe. Appreciate that. I think I've said all on this one. That would look great as a canvas wrap print. If you got a good print, a good image, be proud of it. Hang it on your lounge wall, and people talk about them.
Nice.
The next one is number 32, which is the Garden Spider.
Palmer.
Who's that one?
Alan Palmer.
Well done, Alan.
Alan.
Thank you.
Well done, Alan.
Very
Again,
good.
I think this would have lifted probably into the top 3 had it not been for that quite highlight on the left-hand side there. The rest of it is toned beautifully. I like the space around it at the base, the broken web, but that highlight on the side there. I am nitpicking, I'm sorry, but I am looking for the best image.
That is.
Okay.
That just leaves.
3, 2, 1. Oh, we're
Right.
going to do some,
Changeover.
some drum rolling now, aren't we?
Winners. That one. Right. Okay. So the first one.
Is number 13, and that's in 3rd place, and that's COVID. Mosaic.
Mosaic. That's Paul Major.
I think that is a very 2020 image. That we've seen a lot of images of our dear NHS people struggling, and often the eyes tell the story. But I think there's a bit of creativity work on it, and it is very well done. So well done to the author.
Yeah,
of
that is a self-portrait.
Is it? All right. Well, good. Well, nothing wrong with that. So, do enjoy that one. Right, number 2 is number 44.
Paul. Alan Palmer again.
Now,
Well done, Alan.
Well done, Alan.
I seem to remember a few years ago I was over here at Harlow, and I think I think it was a printer, a PDI, got the best one, and it was one of this, again, street environmental work. I did look at this. Would this have been better in mono? I don't think so, because what I do really brings me into this is that left eye of the guy there. It really draws me in. I mean, everything else around him, the bottles of orange and God knows what, the file he's got there, it's all telling a story. And then you've got to look, and I thought, do I want to lighten that face up? No, I don't. But I think it is a sad state of affairs in 2021 when people have got to live like this. But I think that is a very powerful, emotive image. But the one that's going to take first place is a very simplistic image. Now, I wonder if all you people are sitting there trying to think which one has he picked as the first one. Well, let's put them out of their misery. It is in first place, number 52, 2 feet ahead.
Believe it. That was it.
I thought that was just so simple. The tonality of it, the sort of, it's almost a pale sepia. But the strength of it is those 2 feet. The title's perfect. The 2 feet sticking out there, and then that rail taking you up right in the corner. And the presentation, again, this would look great as a print with another bigger board around it, and it would really work on pure white mount board. So well done to the author on that one.
That was Marie King.
Well done, Marie.
Oh, well done.
Well done.
Yeah, so got all
Well done.
into the
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. All 4.
Can you? Yeah.
Well done.
right. Do we need to look at anything again, or before I disconnect and
No,
stop it?
you might as well disconnect. Thanks, Jeff. But thanks, Jeff, for handling that, because that was a different way of doing it. Actually, it's probably easier, isn't it?
Well, I had a few dry runs during the day.
Yeah.
It's always better to be prepared. I think well done, Jeff. It's better for when, especially when you're judging remote like this. If things work well, I mean, of course, we are beholden to the internet.
Yes.
I'm in a competition at my club last 2 weeks ago. I lost the last 4 images. It just went, it froze and went. And when I went to go back in again, and we use 3 lots of people actually controlling our network when we're doing judging at Colchester, it won't let me in, so it wasn't available. And of course, I couldn't start ringing people up because it was we were probably doing the get together to agree the scores for the competition. So I just lost it. And sod's law, we weren't recording it. No, we were recording it, but I didn't know. So you are relying on the internet. It can fail and let you down, but and that is out of our control. So, let us hope that come September we can all be meeting back. But well done, Jeff. It was well handled. Thank you.
Thank you.
So well done to Marie, especially, and Alan as well. Alan got second and third, didn't you? And Marie got first, I believe. And Marie got the other 3 commended as well. So that's really well done.
Well, I didn't know. I knew no names. There's no names on the sheets.
Yeah.
Showing that the sheet I got, it was basically a number and a title of an image. So, and anyway, I judge the work, not the author.
Yeah, unless it's Heather, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd have dropped it if I'd known it was Heather. I'd have got rid of it. I'd have changed it.
He would. He would. After 40 years, I know him.
So thanks very much. I mean, for everybody else, so this is our best of the year, this is supposed to be, and Vic has taken this on really, really seriously. I don't think we've had any of our Zoom judges take as much effort and as much time looking at our images as Vic's done. He had the images for a week, carefully viewed them all, and really put the effort in, and it shows with the level of astute noticing. Is that the word? Is that the word? Of how he what he found with each image, especially green earrings, and that sort of thing. Just little details that probably, if you saw the image through first time, most judges would miss. But it was all went through very detailed, which you kind of have to do when you're doing best of the year, because you've got to be finicky. And if any of you have had your images chucked out because he's been finicky, that's because you've got to pick a winner. Otherwise, you can't. It's not really much of a competition if you say everybody's a winner. So, so let's go. A couple of things that I enjoyed tonight. I enjoyed the idea of saggy tattoos, and also you seem to have a thing about sheep. we had tone down the sheep and take out the sheep. Basically, next time Vic judges, just don't put the sheep in. Get rid of the sheep. What a 0 sheep zone.
Yeah, and a key line.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, a lot of key lines. Key lines are always fun with judges because some judges hate them. But and there was a lovely expression you used at one point, which was about one particular image. But I actually think it's kind of I don't know, a guideline for landscape photography. It's really, and that was the elements and the photographer is all that you need. That's a great expression. I might actually nick that because that's really, really good. So thank you, Vic. Thanks for taking this so seriously and giving us your expert opinion, which I think you did a great job today. You really sorted through all those images well. So can I ask everybody at H2 to join me in giving our thanks in the usual way, please?